How did you figure out your parents were secretly rich? I grew up thinking we were broke. Not homeless broke, but the kind of broke where your parents sigh dramatically every time you ask for anything. New shoes? Do you really need those right now? School trip? We'll see. Money's tight. I wore hand-me-downs from my cousin who was 2 sizes bigger than me. My jeans had permanent knee stains, and my hoodie still had his name written in Sharpie on the tag. I didn't complain because I thought we genuinely couldn't afford better. My parents were obsessed with budgets. Every Sunday, my mom would sit at the kitchen table with a calculator and a notebook, muttering about expenses like we were one grocery bill away from eviction. My dad clipped coupons. Not like, oh, here's 50 cents off. He had a whole system, organized by category, stored in a binder, cross-referenced with sale ads. I thought this was normal struggling family behavior. So when I turned 16 and started applying to colleges, I assumed financial aid was going to be our lifeline. I needed to fill out the FAFSA, and my dad kept saying he'd help me with it later. But later turned into weeks, and the deadline was coming up fast. So I grabbed his laptop while he was at work and decided to do it myself. I needed his tax documents, which I figured were in some folder labeled taxes or important stuff. I opened his files, clicked around, found a folder that just said statements, clicked it, and that's when my entire childhood shattered. Bank statements, not one account, multiple. I was expecting maybe $10,000, maybe $20,000 saved up for emergencies. What I saw instead made my brain stop working. 7 figures. Millions, in multiple accounts, some in savings, some in investments, one labeled emergency fund that had more money in it than most people make in a lifetime. I just sat there staring at the screen like I'd uncovered a government conspiracy. My parents, the ones who made me feel guilty for asking for a $30 pair of sneakers, had been sitting on literal millions this whole time. I took screenshots, not because I had a plan, but because I needed proof that I wasn't hallucinating. That night at dinner, I couldn't even look at them. My mom made spaghetti, the same spaghetti we'd been eating twice a week for years because it was affordable. I waited until we were all sitting down. Then I just said it. So, interesting thing happened today. My dad looked up from his plate. I was filling out my financial aid forms, and I needed your tax document, so I grabbed them from your laptop. My mom's fork froze midair, and I couldn't help but notice that we're, really not struggling financially. Silence. Not awkward silence. This was DEFCON 1 silence. My dad cleared his throat, looked at my mom, then back at me. We can explain. I pulled out my phone, opened the screenshots, and slid it across the table. Explain this. My mom's face went pale. She tried the classic parent deflection. Honey, we just like to be careful with money. Careful? Mom, there are millions in these accounts. I've been working at a grocery store for $12 an hour while you two have been hoarding wealth like dragons. My dad finally caved. We wanted you to grow up humble, to understand the value of money, to not be spoiled. I stared at him. My sister, who'd been silent this whole time, muttered, I've been babysitting for 2 years. My mom tried to recover. You're both being dramatic. We were going to tell you eventually. When? After I graduated? After I took out student loans I didn't need? That one hit. My dad looked genuinely guilty for the first time in my life. My mom, however, doubled down. Well, maybe if you hadn't been snooping through private files, we wouldn't be having this conversation. I laughed. Not a polite laugh. A full unhinged cackle.